Everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. Today, we have such a special guest, someone I know
Mhm.
very well because I have had the honor and having the honor of coaching her. Amy Spence is here with us, and her story is one of resilience, humor, and rising up after some of life's hardest challenges.
Yeah, yay. I'm so glad you're here because we've also had the joy of
Thanks.
knowing Amy through our retreats. She joined us in Chicago last year. She'll be with us again this
Mhm.
week. Yay.
Yay.
Amy Spence is a mom, a wellness advocate, a marathon runner, master transformation coach, public speaker, two-time breast cancer survivor who inspires and empowers others to rise up through healing, resilience, and reclaimed purpose. Also, a badass teacher who gets to retire soon or just
Yeah.
retired when this airs. We are so glad you're here, Amy.
Thank you for having me. That was
Yay.
such a warm welcome. I appreciate it. I feel like you just told my whole story.
Well, we're gonna have you tell it here, so, but we do always.
Yes.
I love it. Carrie often asks, like, how does it feel to hear all of that in one like little fail swoop, right?
I know, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you live
Yeah.
your life and yes, you are all those things. You know you're all those things, but we often don't
hmm
just sit back and reflect on everything like that. So to hear it,
No. It feel like sometimes in life you have certain labels. Like I'm
yeah.
Lucanelli's mom, I'm so and so's teacher, and so to hear you say that, it's just kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
Can I add to when I was reading that, what occurs to me, because I love how Lisa just said you are all these things or you said roles, but I think like, wow, all these places you've had impact.
Mm,
Ah, thank you. I've been reflecting on that a lot lately with retiring from
Mm,
teaching.
yeah,
Yeah, 29 years
it's
amazing.
teaching
crazy.
young kids and yeah, so it's kind of hitting me.
I love it. All right, well, then let's hear from you about your journey. Like, tell us a little bit about your story and,
Sure.
really what life looked like before your diagnosis.
So in 2013, I went to my gynecologist in August and had the whole girly checkup and had the breast exam and all was good. And then in November, I had just bought a new home, and 2 days after I moved in, our like my finished basement leaked. So I called my realtor, and as I was on the phone with my realtor, I just happened to scratch and I
Mm,
felt my lump. And that turned into what would be, my first breast cancer journey. Uh,
wow.
yeah, so
Mm.
I found it by pure accident.
Mm,
People always think that, that you have to have your arm up and check like that, and mine would get lost in my breast cavity.
oh,
So even
that's
when I went
interesting.
back after I found it, he couldn't find it until I put my arm down. So
Huh.
Whoa.
yeah, so it was probably
Wow.
there in August. We just didn't know.
Gotcha. Okay, I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
that turned around quickly, but yeah, that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
And so obviously life changes at that moment, but up until then,
absolutely.
what
Mm-hmm.
like if as you look back on your life up until 2013,
Right.
what was that like?
I was raising two young kids. I was a single mom and a school teacher, and I was a Girls on the Run coach.
Oh, that's
I,
cool.
I, I was always a runner, and when Girls on the Run came to our school, I volunteered to coach, and that got me back into consistently running. And yeah, I mean, I was a soccer mom, a football mom, basketball mom, carting my kids around
Mm.
here and there, and
Yeah.
life was just good.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Mm.
yeah.
Wow. So you're like, so how long did that, like that first time, how did that journey go for you? Like, how long did that last? It
So,
sounds like an ignorant question, but I
yeah. I
actually
mean, because
don't know.
I feel like I'm still on it, really.
Hmm.
All these years later, like it just doesn't go away because there's always side effects. But so I was diagnosed on Black Friday of
Hmm.
2013. Yeah. I always had to wait over the holidays, of course.
Wow.
And that led into the spring of 2014, where I had a double mastectomy, I had a hysterectomy, and breast reconstruction all in one surgery. It was about seven
Wow.
hours long. And yeah, so it was very hard. I was always very big breasted. And then leaving the hospital, with nothing was very, like, very scary and
Mm.
new and terrifying. And My kids didn't really know exactly what was going on, other than
Mm.
mom had cancer and she's going to have surgery. And um, yeah, so that
Oh
led
gosh.
to, right. So, but 2014 was a year of healing. So
Mm.
I went through it. I took about 6 weeks off of school.
Good.
Um, I went back at the very end of the school year, finished it out, and then was just living life normal like I had been before 2013. Started getting back into running. Took a trip with my dad to Washington, D.C. It was our first trip ever that we'd taken as father and daughter. And he was a big supporter of my races because I did a lot of military runs, like for the Marine Corps. And he was
Hmm.
a former Marine. And then, let's see, 2016 came about and I was having some problems breathing. And I have mild asthma, so I didn't really think much about it, but it was getting worse. And then, you know how intuition just kind of, you just feel, like, oh, I have a headache
Yeah.
or, yeah. So I felt my breast again, and I had two nodules in the same spot where I had had cancer before.
Hmm.
So that was February of 2017. And I went back to the doctor and they did an ultrasound and it was inconclusive. And he said, let's just keep an eye on it. And I didn't like that response.
Mm-mm.
I don't either.
So,
No.
yeah, let's just keep an eye on it. And I was like, I don't think so. And so I went to my breast reconstruction doctor, and he's the one who did the biopsy. And sure enough, it was, my cancer came back, and it came back more aggressively.
Mm.
Mm.
But 2 days before that, 2 days before I found out my cancer came back, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh no.
And yeah, so I knew, like I had already been to the doctor, had my biopsy. So I was just waiting my results. And of course, I didn't say anything to him and went to the hospital with him, got his diagnosis. And I still didn't say anything to him because I didn't want him to worry about me because that's the kind of person he was. And so when I got the news, obviously I was devastated. And um, one of my coworker, I was at school when I
Mm.
found out, and one of my coworkers came in and literally like picked me up off the ground, and so that's where the whole Rise Up with Amy came. Like she literally rose me up and hugged me
Ah,
and told me that, it's gonna be hard, but you're gonna be okay. And I am. So
Mm.
yeah, so here we
Wow.
are. But it wasn't an easy journey. I ended up taking the rest of the school year off. I didn't have enough sick days, and people rallied and donated their sick days to me.
Oh my
I
oh,
gosh.
that's
know.
cool.
Yeah, I know. I hadn't built them
Teachers are
up
the
from the first
best.
time. Oh,
Teachers are the
absolutely.
best.
There are people I didn't even teach with.
Mm.
I had such a support community, and, they were rallying behind not just me, but my dad and my kids too.
Mm.
And so
Wow.
leading into like the summer, my dad passed away. And he declined treatment, and that for me was
Mm.
very hard because I did. And so yeah, so I was going through chemotherapy, had 4 months of chemo. I had like 6 weeks of radiation, and all the while just trying to, be a mom
Yeah.
to my kids and still, try to make things normal. And I had gotten remarried in the midst of that, and my marriage was falling apart. So it was just a very hard year.
Wow.
And then like 6 months after my dad passed away, my father-in-law passed away.
Wow.
And yeah, so and from cancer as well. So
Mm.
it was just a lot of
Wow.
like my daughter looked at me one day and she's like, "Mom, all we do is talk about cancer."
Yeah.
And I felt,
Bet.
and she was right. I mean, it consumed our lives. Vacations were put on hold. I wasn't running. I wasn't doing the things that they were used to, seeing me do. Um, and at that point, like my son had just started driving, so he was a little more independent. But I felt like I missed out on so much with my kids, and that's what led me to want to retire earlier because, I have a whole lot of life to make up for,
Yeah.
especially with my kids. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
Wow, Amy, because I was going to ask, what is it like going through it a second time? But your second time, you had so much else
Right.
yeah.
that was taking your attention that it's not actually not even a fair question. It was like, oh, how much can you take this time? And for
Mm-hmm.
someone to see you and meet you now, like at one of our
Yeah.
retreats, or
Mm-hmm.
just if they were to follow you, like you're this runner, you're so full of life, you're so smiley.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just even taking a snapshot of what you just described, I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think like you seem to betray that with like your
Mm.
outlook and the way
Mm-hmm.
you've been moving forward. Of course, we're not there right now, but wow,
Right. Yeah. And I
that
had
is so
done
heavy.
it is, and it's still like it still chokes me up
Yeah.
Yeah.
talking about it. But learning to, just make better life choices. And, because I thought the first time, like, oh, I made myself sick. Well,
Mm.
I didn't. Cancer was in my family. And the
Yeah.
reason I had a mastectomy, because people were like, oh, that's drastic, because I was a stage one, which, my tumor was small. It was a stage one. It was still in the duct. But my mom's mom had breast cancer. And she didn't pass away from breast cancer, but then she went on to have like four other kinds of cancers.
Mm.
And then my mom's sister passed away from ovarian cancer. And so, yeah,
So
so I
that's why
was
you did
like,
it all at the
well,
same
so
time.
that's why I did it all at the same time. And I'm glad I did because my pathology report from the first time showed that I had another tumor I didn't even know I had.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Yeah, and so it was a more aggressive tumor in the same breast. And so, yeah, I mean, I feel like I made the best decision for me. And I know that a lot of people, they're going to make the best decision for them too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's you have to like just take all that into consideration. Um, but it's also not and I'm proof of that, that a mastectomy is not a cure-all for cancer because mine
Yeah.
came back afterwards and it came back in the same spot.
And so I'm completely ignorant of all of this. That is how unusual is that?
Mm-hmm. It,
Like,
it's not as uncommon as you would think.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know people who've like I
Mm-hmm.
know a handful of people who've had it two or three times. Yeah.
But I guess
Mostly
I
two.
just thought, like,
Mostly
yeah,
two.
if you have a full mastectomy, like, okay, what's there left to
Right. Because
have cancer in?
I didn't have any breast tissue.
Right.
Right.
Um, my reconstruction doctor told me that basically when he went in to do the biopsy, that there were two little nodules just sitting underneath my skin.
Huh.
Yep.
But it
Wow.
was still considered breast cancer.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Wow. I mean,
Yep. It was
one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, other than everything Carrie just said about you, is
well,
like it
thank you.
really is kind of interesting that we have not done this. This is our third season, and this is the
Hmm.
first time we've talked to someone around breast cancer. And I
It's an
guess
Hmm.
oversight, really.
it
Yeah.
is an oversight. And
Hmm.
at the same time, it's like, well, obviously, we were waiting for Amy.
Right.
Aw.
Yeah.
Aw. Why, thank you.
Ah, wow.
Because it still
Okay.
feels like with all the knowledge that's out there for
Yeah.
prevention, left and right now I'm hearing of people get diagnosed and are grateful
Yes.
they caught it or telling people to, get really vigilant. So it is
Hmm.
feeling like with all that you think is out there, you would feel like we hear about it less, but I guess at our age, we're going to hear about it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. And I had the opportunity to interview somebody on my podcast recently who she had done some research as well. And I think she said it's like between the ages of 19 and 39 is like the new um diagnosis, like the
Wow.
new age. Yeah. I think it
That's so
used to be,
young.
I know, right? I was 39
Okay.
when I was first diagnosed.
Wow.
Wow. And
So,
so listening to all of that, what, I mean, I think part of the answer of this is, well, you were a mom, and as moms, we
hmm
just keep doing what we got to do, right?
hmm
But as you are going through, especially the second time, but even the first time, going through the thick of it,
hmm
what helped keep you moving forward?
Oh, establishing a purpose.
Okay. What was it?
Getting my health back. I wanted to run my first marathon in memory of my dad,
Okay.
and I did.
And was it the Flying Pig in Cincinnati then?
It wasn't. It
Oh,
was
it wasn't?
actually, no, it was the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C.
Oh,
Wow.
cool. So what year
So,
was that?
2018.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I went back to running 5 months after I finished all my treatment.
Wow.
And it was hard.
Wow.
It was
Yeah.
so hard. Because you don't realize, like, you're in a new body.
Mm,
And
Mm.
for me, that
such a good
was,
point.
I had a new body. And I've still 8 years later have had a hard time accepting that.
Mm,
I showed up and I thought, oh, I can run at this pace. And then I would start with them. And then I was like, oh, I can't run with them. So then I would move back the next time to a slower pace group. And then I go, oh, I can't run with them either. And so, you're trying to get better healthy wise or health wise, but then at the same time, like mentally, I was struggling because I wasn't where I was before
right.
cancer.
Right.
And because some of my best like races were in between my cancer journeys.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so but it just goes to show chemotherapy and radiation, like what it actually does to your body.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
So having a
so
purpose was
so
one way of moving
yep.
forward. Anything else?
Had a purpose. Yeah, I mean, I needed to find joy again. I
Mm,
was such a happy person. I've always been, just kind of happy-go-lucky, quirky. And during that time, I still tried to find the humor in things, but the loss of your loved ones and
mm,
your body parts and your marriage and stuff, you just gotta push through.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Um,
So
find the
finding
joy.
joy. Yeah.
Yeah, finding joy, find the laughter. Community. I'm a
Mm,
huge sense of community. I found community in my church. I found community in my running group. Um, and so those are my people. I travel with them and we run races and out of state and go on pretty cool adventures. And yeah, so I mean, I needed to just keep moving forward. Like I just
Mm.
keep saying, like forward is forward, no matter how you
yeah.
get there. Just
Yep.
you can't stop. I know when my dad, like, so when he was doing great, he was driving, and then the next day, hospice brought a hospital bed into his home,
Mm,
and he got in it and he never left it.
Wow.
And I didn't want to be like that. I
mm,
didn't want, and he just went downhill after that. And I
Wow.
just wonder, like, had he kept moving forward, you know,
right.
what
Mm.
would have happened?
So
Yeah. It
the
was almost
So,
like bringing that bed in sealed the fate
yeah.
emotionally, mentally, maybe
Oh,
subliminally for him.
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I'm fascinated. So I'm hearing the survival and the forward motion and all of that.
Hmm.
So I hesitate on this question, but we're all coaches, right? And so like
Yep.
obviously hearing you talk about how this like, just how this went down and how like, oh God, like this feels so unfair.
Mm,
I'm sort of also hearing like survival for you and healing for you wasn't to like totally feel all that justified grief and like this isn't fair. So I'm just
Hmm.
curious like how you allowed yourself to feel grief or just sad or sorry for yourself at all
Hmm.
because it just
I
doesn't feel like you
did.
had time for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the day that I found out my cancer came back, I mean, like I said, I was at school,
Yeah.
came home, my husband came home, and I told him, and that night we were supposed to go to a couples conference at our church.
Mm.
And he's like, "Well, we can't go." And I was like, "I can't think of a better place to go
mm,
than to church
yeah.
right now." And so out of all the things that cancer could take, like it couldn't take my faith. And
Mm,
that's how I kept moving forward.
That's
mm,
beautiful.
Just, yeah.
So what for someone who's listening who's in that mode, because
Mhm.
unfortunately, as we know, there's more women than we
Mhm.
even realize. And it might not be breast cancer, but it could be
Sure.
something. Like, it just feels like the things are piling on. What do you say to someone listening who feels stuck in survival mode right now and, just feels like
Mhm.
they're getting buried under bad news?
Mhm.
Mm.
Just, there can, like, as crappy as it is right now, that it will get better, but it just takes time. I mean, people
Mm.
used to say, "Oh, time heals all things," and it doesn't. Time helps for sure, but doing the work is really where um your healing can take place. So just keep pushing through. Find your people. For me, it was the people I work with who brought me food and took my kids places and just sending me love and prayers. And actually today I was going through some pictures because I've been trying to find a picture of my son and me when I was trying on wigs. Like my mom brought me wigs, it was one of her customers, and I think they were probably from like the 1980s.
Oh.
And so they were these just big poofy things, and they were sitting in a box, and my son and I just started playing around with them and trying them on, and we took pictures, but I can't find them. So
Mm.
just try to find, some humor to just, remind you of what life was like before whatever happened.
Mm.
Set
That's
goals,
helpful.
find a purpose. I have found so much healing in helping other people.
Mm.
Mm. Well, and we're going to talk about that in a
It's
second
yeah.
because I'm very excited about what you created. I
Yay.
am, I am, I now hesitate to ask this question because it might make you cry, but I am curious, listening to all that. What do you think your kids would say about you reflecting on all
Mm.
that time? And sorry if I'm pulling a Barbara Walters on you.
Um, ooh, hmm. Yeah, you are making me cry.
Sorry. It's
Um,
one of my gifts.
I know. I think especially my daughter, because she was younger.
Yeah.
And actually, I found a letter that she wrote me. I actually found it today when I was digging,
Wow.
and it was something like, I know you can do hard things, and we're going to get through this together.
Mm.
Basically, that was the gist of it. But I do want to interview my kids.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. And just, but also know they've kind of blocked a lot of that time period out too.
Sure.
But I think they would say that, like, I never give up. I'm always like pushing forward. Um, I mean, they know the struggle I had, especially like with marriage and
Mm-hmm.
getting divorced, and um, that was a whole nother form of trauma
Sure.
in
Mhm.
itself. Because we had to move during that time,
Mm.
and so
Gosh.
yeah, so it was just a lot, but I think that they would, and actually I can see it in them now. Just yesterday my son sent me a Snapchat of like he was reading the Bible,
Mm.
and for me that was
Mm.
huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
just
you and I just been talking about that recently.
yeah. So
Mm.
that to me was just, that made my day. And then like my
Mm.
daughter went to church this past Sunday for like the first time, and went by herself
Wow.
at college. And yeah, so if you don't know, like my son's in Tampa, living his
Mm.
dream as a commercial fisherman, and my daughter goes to Coastal Carolina University in South Carolina. So I'm an empty nester.
Mm.
But yeah, so it's cool to see that they are the resilient ones too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
they've overcome, and recognizing that like they've used their pain and their hurt to move forward.
Yeah.
And hopefully I was a role model for that.
I was just gonna say, I wonder where they learned all that
Yeah.
resilience and
Yeah.
Well,
that
and
example of faith.
it's gonna unfold as time goes on, even, right? So,
Hmm.
maybe they have
Hmm.
actually blocked it out technically, right? But at the same time,
Hmm.
obviously, a lot of it seeped in subliminally anyway, and that's why
Right.
it's showing up now in
Right.
these ways.
We often
Yeah.
ask, as you know, we all do this. We often ask our clients when they're really having a hard time finding out what their purpose is?
Mhm.
Like, how would you want your kids to either watch you walk through this, or how would you like them to
Mhm.
respond to this challenge? And it just
Mhm.
sounds like you're a beautiful example of that.
Oh, well, thank you. I tried. I've tried. Now I'm
Well, it
like,
sounds like
oh,
you've
got
succeeded.
like snot going
I'm
everywhere.
sorry. I know. I was sitting here. I was like, I really want to ask this question,
Yeah.
but I'm a little nervous. But
No,
thank you. Thank you
it's,
for
yeah.
playing along.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So with everything you've went through, and we just talked about this,
Mhm.
that you helping other people is purposeful for you, has been, continues to be, and now
Mhm.
as you are retiring from teaching, you're moving into coaching full time, which I am thrilled about.
Yay. Yep.
So
So excited.
I'm so excited. So you've created something that I just know is going to be so powerful for others, which is your Rise Up system. You mentioned that
Mhm.
it comes from your coworker coming in and actually picking you up, rising you up.
Mhm.
So can you tell us a little bit about it, how it came about, and what it is?
Yep, of course. The the idea behind it is that you can rebuild yourself and rise up after loss. So that's what I have created is because obviously I know firsthand
Yes.
a process, 6 pillars, rise up, and the R stands for resilience. So teaching people to like discover what truly sets their heart on fire. What is it that they want? And then creating that space to heal.
Mm,
The I stands for invincible, basically rebuilding and rediscovering who you want to be. Um, I know what that, with all the loss that I've gone through, like just trying to figure out like who am I now?
yeah.
Who is single Amy? Who is Amy without breast cancer? Who
Yeah.
is Amy as an empty nester? So who's Amy as a retired person?
Yeah. And it's
Uh,
just, I'll intersect here. This isn't
yeah.
just for breast cancer.
No, not at
This is
all.
No,
anybody who's
Right.
transitioning through a loss.
which is
Right.
just about everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Because the
It can
longer you
be
live, the more necessary and unexpected losses we go through. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
It can be, loss of relationship, loss of a loved one, loss of a pet, loss
Yeah.
of, you're an empty nester and you're, losing your kids out into the world and, hoping that they always come back home, but, loss of self as
Yeah.
well, or
That's
loss
a
of a
massive
job.
identity shift.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's when I started thinking about it. I wanted to be able to help not just cancer survivors, but anybody, because that's, we teach what we know, and
Yeah.
and I've experienced all of that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay.
the
Keep
the
going. Sorry.
no, it's okay. So R is resilience, I is invincible, S is strength.
Mm,
So reconnecting with your body, because as we know, sometimes, like especially going through a cancer diagnosis, you're in a new body. Working on your spiritual health, your mental health, your emotional, physical, stress. So that's S. E is evolving, and that is basically rewriting your beliefs.
love it.
Saying, shedding all of those old habits, the self-worth and uh, all that goes with that. The U stands for unstoppable. And that's basically, setting boundaries with yourself, with other people, making yourself a priority,
Mm,
giving yourself what you need. And then the P stands for perseverance. So
love it.
basically, integrating all of the things that you have learned about yourself during this 12-week process of working with me. Like what's the new chapter going to look like?
Love it.
Awesome.
So yeah,
That's amazing.
I'm excited. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited to hear more about that too. I just that applies so broadly and deeply.
Mhm.
So you've also launched your own podcast. That's already been happening. It's called the Bad Boobie
Yeah.
Club with Amy. I
Yeah.
love it because it captures your energy and your sense of humor. So tell us about that. What kinds of conversations are you excited to be having there? What's already happening? What are you looking forward to?
Oh gosh, so many things. So when I was going through cancer, especially the first time, I always talked about, my bad boobie. And then when my cancer came back, it was like, well, gosh, that was just a shitty titty. So,
That's hilarious. Oh my
so I
God.
just always like, can I cut? Can I cut? Can I
Oh my
cut
God.
on
You
here?
just said you
Okay.
listened to the pod. You know you
You
can.
know we don't cut out
I
bad words.
know. I know. So anyway, so I came up with the idea to just really, for breast cancer survivors, talk about, you know, all the different ways that breast cancer not only has impacted by my life, but also like the side effects that are still lingering years later. How it impacts nutrition and physically, and I mentioned a little while ago about having the privilege to interview someone. Her name is Christine Handy, and she was a Victoria's Secret model who had a double mastectomy, and so she became their first flat-chested model
Wow.
after having her breast cancer journey. So that was a really cool experience to be able to, connect with her and see her journey. And of course, they've turned she made a book, or she wrote a book, and now it's been turned into a movie. So
So
Amazing.
awesome.
yeah, I just recently had a childhood friend on who talked about nervous system regulation and somatic breath work. I'm going to, in October, well, September and October and November, talk about my Rise Up system. And I'm excited to talk about
Yeah,
that.
because you normally drop every couple of weeks, but you're doing a 6-week series to go through very specifically
Yes.
these 6 pillars.
Yes, I am.
Nice.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that. I have some ideas. Like I want to interview, other cancer survivors and hear their stories and hear their voices, in their own words, and see how they've overcome and what are some things that they've done, they've experienced.
I think that will be really powerful too, because for most people, right, somebody who's not a Victoria's Secret model, and so forth,
Mhm.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like whenever anybody's going through something, especially women, we kind of turtle, right? We kind of keep to
Mhm.
ourselves and we don't really speak to it. And I find, as both of you do as well, being coaches, that the act of telling your story
Mhm.
can really be. In fact, next week's episode is also about that. But is telling your story is so healing in and of itself.
Mhm.
Totally.
So you giving voice, giving opportunity for other cancer survivors to speak and talk to you in such a loving environment, I think it's just another piece of
Mhm.
you supporting other people.
I wanted it to be a safe place
Yeah,
for survivors to, be able to connect and to hear, like from a real life person, who has been through it. And I mean, I went to therapy when I was diagnosed both times, but he didn't understand my journey.
right.
He didn't have breast cancer,
Mm-hmm.
so I think just
Yeah.
being able to connect with somebody who's experienced all that will be very rewarding for them.
Mm.
Yeah.
You said something in our communications about how you are hoping people find a new best friend in you with this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I and that's it sounds like exactly what you're providing.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it important to you that people don't feel alone in this?
Because I know what it's like.
Yep.
Yep. You're gonna get me crying again.
This was
Gosh,
Carrie's fault. That was
I
Carrie's
know.
fault.
I
Yeah, well, you
just
don't realize what you're still holding on to
Yeah.
until, you're asked the hard questions. And so no, that's a fair question. Like I think it's important for people to know there's so much going on in the world anyway, with lots of other things, but like there's so much, suicide and trauma, and I feel like if people just reached out, or if they knew that they had a person, just one
Yeah.
person that they could talk to or listen to, then we can help save lives.
Mm. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that all of us get to experience, whether it's like
Hmm.
retreats or getting together with a friend or listening to podcasts that
Hmm.
feels like it's read your mind, is it's not just me.
Yeah.
I think we so underestimate how life-saving that is.
Right. I mean,
So nice that you're doing that.
for somebody to think, gosh, my life sucks and I'm never going to get out of this. And to listen to somebody who like, oh, now they're running marathons and now they are doing this and that. And I live a big life and,
You do.
I don't take it for granted anymore. I used to sweat the small stuff and I don't anymore.
You are so inspiring.
Well, thanks. If anything, I've probably gone the opposite direction. I'm just a little more relaxed about things.
As you should. I mean, don't sweat the small stuff. It's exactly right. All right. So you talked about joy. As you think about your listeners, our listeners who are facing loss or transition of their own, what do you want them to know about finding joy in this new normal?
That in order to get there, you have to take the steps. Just
Mm.
one tiny step. And then you start building that momentum and you'll find your joy, you'll find your purpose.
And
But
what if
you
they
have
think
to.
like, if somebody can't even comprehend what that would look
Mhm.
like, what would be a suggestion of a first step for them?
Well, I think it would depend on their circumstance. I mean, for me, like being a runner, like
Yeah.
my first, like getting, setting the alarm clock for 6 a.m. and actually like getting out of bed would be the first step,
Yeah, that's literally the
like
first step.
literally,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I
Get
mean,
like,
that's the point, right?
right.
People think,
It's
oh,
just,
the first step is, oh, I'm going to sign up for a race. No, the first step
no,
is getting out of
right,
bed at 6 a.m. The next step is
right,
putting your shoes on. The next step is
right,
walking out the door, right? Like every
right.
step counts to build
It's,
that momentum.
It's baby steps. Like you don't have to go from, 0 to like 360 and, a moment. It's baby steps,
Yeah.
and you have to feel your feelings too. You can't
Mm.
suppress them. And for a long time, I suppressed my feelings and I didn't share them. And that's very unhealthy.
Mm.
Yeah. It's okay to feel your feelings. I also used to think that, as a woman, like, I had my breasts removed, I had my ovaries removed, and that was what made me a woman, which of course I know that that's not like
Right.
it,
Right.
right? Um, so just knowing that there's
But there was some grief around that, I'm sure, obviously.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I still look in the mirror and I go, "Ugh." But it is what it is. I mean, I've just
Right.
embraced it. I'm not crying over it anymore. I'm
Mm.
just like,
You're here.
I'm here and I'm excited to be here and to share my journey with other people.
You're not
So,
just here, you are vibrantly here. That's
oh, well, thank you.
incredible.
All right. So let's do a quick lightning round. What is a mantra or phrase that keeps you grounded?
That keeps me grounded. Ooh. Um, well, one that I've always said is, forward is forward.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, I mean, that's just
That's
what
a really good one.
That is a
forward's
good one.
forward. So, I mean, it's whether you walk, you skip, you hop, or crawl, like just make that step forward.
Love it.
Mm. I was on a really difficult hike recently that I probably shouldn't have been on because it was so steep, and that would have helped. I did do it, but that would help. Just forward is forward, or up is up, or something.
Yep.
Okay, another one. What's a simple joy that you don't take for granted anymore?
Oh, a simple joy I don't take. Hair.
Oh,
Having
Ooh, that's a
hair.
good one.
Yeah.
wow, that's neat.
You know,
It's
Yeah.
beautiful too.
well, and I was, so that's so fun. That's kind of what I was going to say. I have never known you. I didn't know you before, right? I've only known you
Mm-hmm.
after. And it's interesting to me that you say you look at yourself in the mirror and still go, because like I would have never known. Like I
Same.
wouldn't have known that you had reconstruction. I wouldn't have known that
Mm-hmm.
you had ever lost your hair. Like you are this from the minute I met you, and you and I met at an event where I coached you for 15 minutes.
That's right.
And here we are, several
Here we
years
are.
later, and here we are.
Yep.
Which that alone might be a mantra, but I would have never known. Like you and I,
Mm.
the reason I referenced for listeners, I referenced the flying pig in Cincinnati. That's
Mhm.
actually what we bonded over because you live in northern Kentucky. You've
Mhm.
flown. You've run the Flying Pig Marathon in Cincinnati several
Mhm.
times. I ran it at one point, not the full thing. I ran a piece of it. And so we just had this instant, like that connection, that
Yep.
Midwest runner connection. Um, and, so again, like I wouldn't have even have known.
Mhm.
So it's
Mm.
interesting how,
Mhm.
and I doubt anybody that's ever met you like at our retreats and would have known all of that. They're
Mhm.
going to know after this
Yeah.
episode.
They are. Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing. Like you do, you like waking up and you're bald. Like
Yeah.
that's, a whole different experience.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Um,
Um,
oh, did you have
oh, go
another
ahead.
question? No,
No,
go
you go
ahead.
ahead.
Well, I have our final lightning round. So,
I was going to ask that, so go ahead. Go right
oh,
ahead.
okay. So our final one, which is a new way of doing this, is what is a favorite 80s or 90s song that always lifts you up? This will be our song for the week.
Oh, Bon Jovi. Yeah. It's my life.
Yay, such a good one.
Yay.
What
Yep.
about that? I mean, other than it's
Um,
Bon Jovi.
yeah, I've always loved Bon Jovi since
Yeah,
the 80s.
me too.
Me
If you
too.
listen to his lyrics, it's my life, it's now or never.
Yeah.
Never will live
So
forever.
just
Yeah.
right.
I saw them sing that live. That was really fun.
Mhm.
That's a powerful song. It's a favorite in this house. Like not because of me though. Griffin came across it in Glee and he absolutely
Oh,
loved it. Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
good one. I love it. Well, I'm so glad you said yes to being on the pod. I'm so glad we
Thank
waited
you for
till season 3 to
yeah.
have you
Thanks for
on.
having
Oh
me.
my God.
Yeah.
I mean, your story, your heart, your joy, all of it. Thank you for sharing that with us today. And for those listening who want to connect, you can find Amy at amyspencecoaching.com. She's on LinkedIn. Please, please, please follow her
Mhm.
podcast, Bad Boobie. I mean, that makes me laugh every time. It's such a good podcast. So good.
And we will link
Thanks.
all of this in the notes. And I
Yeah.
just want to also
Appreciate that.
add, Amy, that I'm so grateful for your courage and your humor. I think you're probably inspiring way more people through your podcast, through
Aw,
ours, than you even realize. And to
thank
our
you.
listeners, if you know someone who needs to hear this conversation, please share this with them.
Yeah.
This is how we all heal, right? Sharing our stories and
Absolutely.
reaching people who need to hear it.
Yeah. Definitely. Thank
Thanks
you
again,
so
Amy.
much.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Thank
so
you.
welcome. And we'll see you on Friday at the retreat.
You will.
Thanks,
I'm looking
everyone.
forward to it. Yep.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks
Be
for
Thank
back next
listening.
you.
week.
Yay.